The sport of off-road racing is full of incredible stories, wild characters, legends, and even villains. We cover it all on offroadracer.com, but there's only so much we can put down in an article. Sometimes we have to dig a little deeper, and that means sitting down with some of our industry's most influential characters and hitting record. Welcome to the Off-Road Racer podcast, a Mad Media production, made exclusively for offroadracer.com. Each month, we'll go beyond the dirt into the homes, shops, and lives of the most interesting and game-changing icons of our sport. You'll hear about their history, success, failure, and everything in between as we pull back the curtain and reveal the stories of their lives. I'm your host, Matt Martelli, and this is the Off-Road Racer podcast. I'm Matt Martelli. This is the Off-Road Racer podcast, and I'm here with my good friend, Greg Cottrell. What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on? I'm glad we're here doing this.
Yeah, no, I was telling you yesterday on the drive up, it's just a beautiful drive. There's been a ton of rain, so it's just green and beautiful.
No, it's a terrible place to live. Don't move here. It's horrible.
Right. No, it's interesting because I'm down in Oceanside, and so it's like 4 or 5 hours depending on traffic. But if you take the coast up, it's like, oh yeah, I should come up here more often. Right?
You know what? There's a reason why we live here.
Yeah,
10 minutes any direction. You can go out of town, and you're in the country. It's beautiful. We don't have the traffic. Just amazing.
Yeah. It just in kind of we were talking about business before, but how did you get started in off-road racing culture?
Oh, man. Since I was a kid.
Yeah.
Things started when I was young because my dad raced Baja in the 70s, probably mid-70s. I got a picture back here of him racing Baja. And, man, as a little kid, the stories of the Baja 1000. And, of course, we had a motorcycle shop. My dad had a high-performance shop. That's what I grew up in. The story has it that my mom gave birth, and 5 hours later, I was there at the office while she did payroll.
Nice.
So she had to do payroll that night, and so I went to work, and I was there every day since. And then, so I grew up in a motorcycle shop. We were one of the top Kawasaki dealers in Southern California. It was an amazing time. Riding motorcycles, racing jet skis, driving off-road cars, doing everything. I've done this my whole life, and then it morphed into, we sold that business and we started a communication business. And that's when everything changed.
Yeah. How crazy was that though? Growing up in that era, especially in this area, like everything was open and free.
Oh man. I look at some of the places I used to ride, Richie Canyon. Oh man, Richie Canyon was the birthplace of extreme, motocross. That the big jumps, everything. It was started in Richie Canyon,
Yeah.
and that was the place. And I remember going there, watching everybody when that just started to boom. Just Metal Militia and all that kind of stuff happening way back then, and just the crazy stuff going on. I was watching all that stuff and seeing it all evolve and happen, and just you could ride everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how everything has changed a lot.
Yeah, it was funny because one of my first, I guess filming trips with freestyle motocross was up here, and it was at Danimals, and a legendary spot where, a bunch of guys have set world records and just done crazy huge jumps. But, it's cool to see that culture evolve and especially be attached to, Southern California.
Man, when you talk about Southern California being the birthplace of off-road, I mean, absolutely. Man, it was a good time. It was a fun time. Having the motorcycle shop back then, man, seeing everybody come through and dirt bikes and, man, what a golden time to grow up. What a golden time to grow up and to still be involved in the industry and do this today. I'll be 55 this year, and man, it's amazing. I'm still having so much fun.
Yeah, well, look, you've built a remarkable business. Talk about that transition of like, cool, family sells a motorcycle shop, you guys get in the communications business, and then at some point you're like, wow, there's all these products that could be, needed for off-road or are needed for off-road, and you start creating them, right?
It was funny. I'll never forget, we started our communication business. It was my parents and I in that business, and I was head of product development, head of sales. That's what my role was. And it was interesting. I loved off-road. We started off in aviation. Our first year was all aviation headsets. And I'm like, man, I love off-road. I love racing. My first complete attack was NASCAR. So went after NASCAR, revolutionized all the headsets for all the teams, all the communications for the drivers. I was supplying everybody in that business. It was crazy, like listen-only headsets. You talk fan involvement. Man, when NASCAR in the early days, I'll never forget them bringing me in. We would sell 4,000 to 5,000 headsets at a race. And it was all about the scanner. You'd have your scanner, put your headset on, and listen to the drivers. And man, it made you feel like you were in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
And we had so much fun doing that. And then, of course, off-road. My true love was off-road. My dad raced in Baja. I grew up in a Baja bug and off-road buggies and going to Glamis and doing everything. And I had a sand rail. I had a sand drag car at the time, one of the faster cars out in Glamis, and I was running it. And I was like, I want to talk to somebody. There's no intercom. I want to talk. And I use an intercom in aviation. Well, why can't I use an intercom in an off-road car? And so I took an aviation intercom. I started with that platform. I morphed it into an intercom for off-road, made the first Vox off-road intercom system that was voice activated. It was super clear. It was more than 2 seats. It was 4 seats, independent mic circuits. You could do music inputs on the thing. And I'm just like, I'll never forget the first time I had the prototypes. I put them in my car, put them in my dad's car. We're riding out in Glamis. We're cruising along. My dad says, hey, he gets on the radio, says, where are you at? I can't find you. It was at night. I flashed my lights and he drove directly to me. Right. I will never forget that day. I can tell you exactly everything about that moment right now. And that was how many years ago? 1991 Sure. When I did that. And I went through and I'm like, man, I told him right then, I said, man, I'm going to sell a lot of these things. This is going to change. This is going to change the experience out there.
Yeah.
It's going to change everything.
And it absolutely did. It was funny because like one of my fondest memories of growing up as a kid off-roading was getting to the point where like you get to talk on the radio, right? Because now it's like that was for the adults, right? And that tactile, just talking on the radio and the audio part of it was something that immediately is ingrained into the cultural experience of off-roading.
Oh, absolutely. My dad's CJ7 with the CB radio in it. Grabbing the hand mic because you're the cool kid now. You're on the radio having some fun with it. Yep. And talking to everybody else. And I'm like, oh, man. I mean, we all love that experience. We all like to communicate. We all like to converse with each other. And when you go through, like in Glamis, for instance, I love Glamis. I love the sand. Man, when you're on a dirt bike and you have communication on, and you go through and you're roosting your friend, you're coming over, you're surprised, or you roost, or you know when you're in that buggy and you crest the top of that dune and you just clutch it and just blow some sand right over the top of the other person.
Yeah.
And you're on the radio just laughing at them. And it's just a different experience. It's fun.
No, it is. When I go on rides and I can communicate with everybody and we're just talking shit and having a good time. And also, hey, I turn left up at the Y instead of having to sit and wait for your buddy to come through. Like, it changes the experience. It makes it better,
Yeah. You know what I knew going in? I'm like, this is the future.
Yeah.
Some people don't realize I've been doing this as long as I have. But since 91, 33 years now?
Right.
I've been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
Manufacturing, designing, building, manufacturing for everyone. People just didn't know it. That I was the guy back there. And, of course it evolved. My parents and my dad got to the point we couldn't work together anymore. Fathers and sons that could have a hard time.
Sure.
And it's funny. My son works for us now and I just love it.
Yeah.
But I got to say, I think my dad taught me how to work with my son.
Sure.
Because the things that he did with me that I didn't like.
Yeah.
I learned a lot.
Sure.
And now working with my son, man, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Well, yeah. I mean, Jaden's a rad kid. Like, I think that's one of the things, though, too, that's a thematic in off-road, and it seems to work more times than not, but that you get to share your passion and love for off-road racing with your son. Like, how cool is that?
Man, you know what? It's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. You know what? I didn't know if my son was ever going to love what I did.
Right.
And I didn't want to push it on him. He was always into sports.
Sure.
Okay. MMA training he did for a long time. As a kid, I started him early. That's what I do. Then he was playing basketball. He was an incredible basketball player, just naturally gifted, athletic, that I wasn't. I wasn't that. I was the more gifted driver. I could ride or drive anything.
Right.
You put me on it, I did it. Okay, I could do it all. If it had a motor on it, I could twist the throttle, push the pedal, whatever it is, I could drive it, no matter what.
Yeah.
He wasn't that way. He's going to kill me right now, but I'm just now, he's 22, I'm teaching him how to drive a stick shift.
Sure.
Okay, and he's having some trouble, but he's getting it. Okay, but he played sports. And I remember when he got old enough, he started working, turned 16. He wanted to get a job, and he did a busser, a couple of restaurants, good experience. And I remember when he started college. He was going to start college, went to community college. And I know he wanted to go to college and do the whole college party scene.
Yeah, fraternity.
Fraternity, that whole thing. All of his friends were pushing him. And I told him, I said, you know what? I can teach you more about business than college will ever teach you. So I said, just think about that. Just think about it. And I don't know, about 6 months later, he came to me and said, I want to come to work for Rugged. You talk about a proud dad moment. And I said, okay. But you know what's interesting about fathers and sons working together? Man, my dad was always the king of the castle. Okay. He didn't want to do the work, but he wanted you to do everything he told you to do.
Right.
And I'm like, man, it was hard because I knew the direction we needed to go. He didn't.
Right.
Okay. And it was hard. And he was pissed if I didn't do what he wanted. But then on the other hand, what I did made us a lot of money.
Right.
Okay. Because I had the vision, I had the direction, and he didn't. He just wanted to be the guy barking commands.
Right.
And now I have a chance to work with my son and completely change that dynamic. It's crazy how much I'm learning from him. You know, if you have the mindset going in that you can learn from everybody, well, that's an entrepreneur. You're continually evolving and learning. And I took that mindset, I'm just not working for my son, telling him what to do. Yes, I'm helping guide him on what he needs to do, but I'm also learning from him.
Sure.
He grew up in a different time, different technology. Well, where are we at in technology today?
Yeah.
You know, we were talking about, social media and all these things today, how it's evolving into something that's difficult.
Yeah.
I have him teach me how to use my phone.
Yeah.
Because this new, iPhones are just insane what they'll do. The picture quality and what you can do on it is unbelievable.
Yep.
So I have him teaching me it. And so now we have an incredible dynamic. He's smashing it in the business. He's one of my top guys. At 22 years old, I'm learning from him every second. He's making me a better man. I don't know if he realizes that, but he is.
It's funny because that's one of the things that, you and I have in common is our love, not just for off-road, but for martial arts, right? And I guess the question I would ask is, do you think that also correlates with his martial arts experience?
Absolutely. Martial arts experience, man, if you're not doing it, you should do it. I started down that journey a long time ago. Okay. I grew up that kid, real thick glasses. I'm wearing glasses today because I was born legally blind.
Right.
Okay. People don't know that. But I was born legally blind. I'm 3 times over the legal limit for being considered blind. I could be permanently disabled right now. And, but that's not me. So I was born this way, in September 1st, 93. I had an accident. I had a car battery explode. The lid came up, hit me in the left eye, ruptured my eye, optical nerve damage. I lost the better of my 2 eyes. So now I have one. So I've got one bad eye left, and it was I went through, and it was a hard time. I had contact lenses at the time. My contacts wouldn't work. When you have two, they'll compensate for each other. Then I went through, and I remember a friend of my mom said, "Hey, listen, I have somebody for you to go see." Okay, I went down to Van Nuys, Dr. Morton Greenspoon. Okay, his father invented the contact lens. Okay, he brought me there. They were going to fit me with a lens and make sure. There was a manufacturer right down the street. In fact, that manufacturer today is one of my customers. And Stacy Sumner was an intern, was a young ophthalmologist in there, and I was her special project. They custom made lenses for me that changed my life.
Nice.
And I remember just at that point, I told myself that at one time I was angry about what was going on. I was pissed off and mad. I'll never forget the day that I just said, F it. And I'm just going to go as hard as I can.
Right.
And I'll never forget starting martial arts. I went to a martial arts instructor. I told Stacy Sumner, I told the doctors what I was doing, and they said no.
Right.
No. You can't afford to get hit. You have one eye. You have one bad eye. You can't afford to do this. Don't do it.
Right.
And I never forget, 3 months in, I went back. I had to do all this testing again. They had to check retina and they had to check everything. I did a peripheral vision test. And they came back and asked me, he says, "Hey, can you redo this test again?" I said, "Okay." I went to do that. And well, we don't understand something. You almost have the peripheral vision of two eyes.
Right.
And I said, "Don't ever tell me not to do something." Okay.
That's awesome.
And martial arts totally changed my life.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget Charlie giving me a tennis ball, and I had to bounce it in the corner for a freaking hour.
Yeah.
And man, hand-eye coordination.
Yep.
Okay. He gave me a playing card, and I had to take this playing card and go in front of my face, away from my face, in front of my face, an hour straight toward my arm. I couldn't even hold it up. I'm like, this sucks. Well, it was causing my eye to focus, and it was strengthening my eye and doing all this stuff. I used to stand in the middle of the dojo, lights off in this garage, and he would throw punches at my head, and I had to block and feel and know because he wanted to improve my other senses because I couldn't see.
Right.
And I'm like, I go to the doctors, and they're like, "We don't understand."
Yeah.
And fast forward later to my career in martial arts now, 4th degree black belt under John Hackman. I trained the top level class, the future black belts.
But like, at what point did you meet Hackman? Because for people who don't know, they need to go Google the pit.
Yeah.
And like, I was privy to who he was because of being in martial arts and being in the kind of early stages of what now is UFC and MMA, right? And he built one of the most prominent stars to ever, step foot in the ring, and just the Iceman, right?
Yeah.
Is one of his proteges.
Yeah.
And like, just when you look at the era of dominance that Chuck Liddell had, it was crazy.
It was
right?
insane.
But for that to come out of this little sleepy town, this little sleepy area, to me is hilarious, right? It's like, where do you go to build Killick?
Oh, man. You know what?
So, but back to the question, how did you meet Hackman?
So, what's funny is when I moved up here, I knew John was here. I knew the pit was here. Okay. When I moved up here, it took me a year of looking in the window before I'd get the courage enough to walk in the door because I have this mega superstar, John Hackman. Please, hey guys, Google him. He's one of the top MMA trainers in the world.
Yep.
Chuck Liddell's trainer. Now Glover Teixeira. Look at Glover and Alex. They're all Hawaiian Kempo under the pit.
Yep.
In what they do. It's an amazing, amazing group. Culture, system, everything about it is incredible. And so I go through, I'm peeking in the window, watching these guys train for a year before I get the courage to go in. And one day I just walked in and signed up for a class. At that time, the classes were 45 minutes of workout and then 45 minutes of technique.
Right.
I will never forget that first day. I got my ass handed to me. Bad. I just did this ass kicking workout, and then I did technique to where I had little bit of jiu-jitsu experience, not much. I trained with a Gracie graduate, for a few months. So I had some basic jiu-jitsu. I had some stand-up, some karate, stand-up, and I went through. And so I go into this class, 45 minutes of technique comes in, just got my ass beat. And I went home that night and I told my wife, this is my home. This is for me.
Right.
That moment, that night was so defining because I knew that it was going to push my abilities far beyond anything else. It was going to push the mental side, the physical side, and everything else about it. Hey, if you're not out pushing yourself physically and mentally, right now I'm 55 and just had hernia surgery a few months ago. I'm training harder than ever, and I'm doing everything. I'm sparring. I'm one of our guys in sparring that, man, I'm the guy that will never ever stop. Right. I'm the one-eyed guy that right. doesn't have good vision, but I'm going to find a way to get you because right. I'm so mentally driven and strong and tough, and I'm never going to stop.
Well, that the ideals that you learn in martial arts then apply to life, right? And it's the same. I've seen you do the same with your business, right? It's like part of the success of your business has been because of how hard you grind, how many events you do, how many products you produce, like the pace that that Rugged keeps up is pretty gnarly. When you look at your competitors and you go, okay, how many events are they doing? How many new products are they doing? Like here's all the measurements. It's like, I can see how you take that same work ethic and how you look at it and you just go, okay, yeah, it's going to be hard. Let's just go get it done. Right. Cause that's one of my biggest takeaways growing up doing martial arts was like, you have to go through the pain. You have to go through the resistance, to get the reward. Right. And once you train your brain to understand that, then it's like, it's not such a big deal.
What's interesting is, I push hard. I have no quit in me ever. It's very rare that I'm tired and I'm down. Because I'm tired and I'm down, I will pick myself up and go again. And that's the thing that I love. It's just drive. It's just wanting it. If you want it, you got to work for it. And that's what a lot of people don't do. A lot of business owners don't do. When I go in and I'll consult a business about how, because they're failing and they're not doing well. Well, either owner or management is not involved. Okay, that's what happens. Hey, I'd love to vacation. I don't vacation. Okay, the holidays and vacations, I don't get time. I want time. Hey, I get very jealous of employees that get 2 weeks off. I want that. I've done very little, but man, martial arts has trained me for this. Man, I thank John. John Hackman and I, we're very close. We're very close friends. One of my mentors, and it's funny, like I'm one of his business mentors.
Sure.
But what he has done for me, man, the values that he instills in the pit. When you go to the pit, it's not about the training. Okay. He pushes you hard, but it's about being your best. That's all he wants from you. He wants from you to give you your 100% effort and push as hard as you possibly can and be better. That's it. Does he always care about if you have the perfect technique or the perfect something? No. He wants you to be your absolute best. He says, hey, and the benefit is you look good at the beach.
Right. Totally.
He says it all the time. Man, don't you want to look good at the beach?
Yeah.
Don't you want to look good with your shirt off? And I do laugh sometimes because I'll be working out and Jaden will come home and his buddies will be with him, whatever. And they're like, damn, your dad's in better shape than all of us. And if it's a byproduct. Great. I want to be in shape.
Yeah.
I want to be powerful. I want to be strong. I want to be, because what does it do? It focuses you.
100%.
You know, your focus, your mental drive. When the chips are down, you got to figure it out.
Yeah.
And those days, because you have days you got to dig deep.
Well, there's so many things that it gives you. It's like when I look at, the state of the world and how many people are on SSRIs and are walking around talking about how they're depressed and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, man, what are you doing to take care of yourself? I think a lot of people that haven't gone through what I would call real martial arts, they still look at it on the surface level of like, oh, you're a badass fighter. It almost has nothing to do with fighting. It's about making better human beings, right? Because it's a series of unlocking potentials, and you start realizing like, oh shit, if I can do this, what can I do over here? And clearly that's benefited you in your business discipline and your drive in business. And again, with Jaden, he's in martial arts with you, and like you can see the stoke on his face. Like we ran into each other at the UFC, and he was with a couple of his buddies, and I'm like, dude, if you smile any harder, your head is gonna peel back, right? And so I don't know. I just think that it's really cool to see you guys share, your passion for business, your passion for off-road, and your passion for mixed martial arts. Because that kind of carry it forward generation after generation, I think it's part of the history of our culture, but it's also the future.
You know what? 100%, because look at the future where we're at right now. Look at the kids today. There is no fight. There is no push. There is no, when you got to get it, you want, everybody wants it given to you easy. Everybody's soft and easy. And man, I watch a video about everybody talk about, well, you should pay my student loans.
Yeah.
Holy crap, man. I mean, come on. I should pay your student loans.
Yeah.
Who's paying mine?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't go to college.
Yeah.
I barely graduated high school. What did I do? I worked freaking hard. I'll never forget somebody walking in. I got this killer moto lodge that we're sitting in, and people say, oh, he comes from old money.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I want to know where that old money's at.
Right.
I said, my old money is hard freaking work.
Yeah.
Drive, determination, go for it. And man, if I can put those skills within my son, I know that he can go out and accomplish anything.
No, 100%.
And I love the fact that he's in martial arts with me, trains with me, and man, he's incredible.
Yeah.
Like he's a big guy right now. Okay. He's big, he's heavy, and at 260 pounds, he can go 5-minute rounds like you can't believe. He never gets tired. And I'm like, what's going on? Is he in the best cardio shape? No. He could be in better shape. Yes. Sure. He could be in this. But man, I don't know what it is. It's I think the love of the game.
Yeah.
Sometimes. But the one thing that I see in him, that never quit, never stop, never show weakness attitude, he's got that.
Yeah. I think that once it's like this discovery, right? And that's what, people learn it in different ways. They learn it in racing, they learn it in martial arts, they learn it in business, right? But I think there's this point where, whatever the saying is, you've done 10,000 hours or, what it is, and now you can master this skill set. Like that's one of the things that is really prevalent with martial arts, is like, especially ones where you're going to compete with other people. Like in jiu-jitsu, it's like you can't fake jiu-jitsu. You're going to get choked. If you didn't put in the time, you're going to sleep, right? Same with sparring. It's like you get in there and you start trading with somebody and you find out really quick where your cardio's at, where your timing's at, where you didn't do the homework, you're going to pay for it. And I think that that's a good euphemism for life, is like, especially now with people being confused about reality because of social media, I think that, these things, these paths, these ways, they become more and more important, right? Because they're less common.
Well, you know what the funny thing about martial arts, when you talk about, You're going to get choked. You're going to get knocked out. The one thing is this, you have to adapt fast.
Yep.
You got to know how to shift, move, change, and adapt so quickly. Man, I put that in business. I put that in what Rugged does. And it's funny, like John and I talk about business. He has no idea the profound effect that he had on me in business.
Sure.
Because when I started with him, I was small. I started my garage.
Yep.
I started my garage with nothing, with absolutely nothing. And I started in my garage. I started making some radios, and man, I had to figure it out. And there was some rough times. Like in the very beginning, was I successful in the very beginning? No.
Nobody is.
It's funny is I recently told my wife that she never knew this, but when my son was 5, he was diagnosed as type 1 diabetic. So she became his caregiver. I ran the business. I was small, had one employee. I went through and we weren't making it. Okay. We weren't making a lot of money. Okay. And I never told her this, but I was next door to the Goodwill outlet. Every day I went to the Goodwill outlet, I'd take $5 and I'd go buy something and I would go sell it on eBay. I did that every single day. And I was making $4,000 to $5,000 on eBay a month. Okay. Women's leather jackets. Oh, when I saw a women's leather jacket, I would fight for that thing because I know I could sell that, make some good money on it.
Right.
And that's what was supporting my household. She never knew. I never said anything. Hey, there's money in the account. We're good.
Yeah.
I had my little Ford Ranger pickup truck. I drove from Lompoc to Paso Robles and with flyers and business cards and went to every single person I could hawk something to.
Sure.
An earpiece, a hand mic, or anything that I had, anything that I could sell, I could do. Man, I worked for it. Man, I love those days. Gosh, I think about that time. What a golden opportunity. But that dig deep effort, like I was learning in martial arts back then, was, man, you're so tired, you're so exhausted, and you got to pick yourself up and do another round.
Yeah.
I love that in the Rocky movies when he goes over and says, one more round.
Yeah.
And it's just like, man, I just, the culture of what I live is that.
Yeah.
Okay, one more round, let's go.
100%.
When you're down and you're getting beat and it's just shit's falling apart, you got one more in you. Let's go. And that's when I rise to the occasion and just, I say I become superhuman. And in life, I become superhuman. When shit hits the fan, I turn it on. That's when I excel. Right. And martial arts has a massive effect. So if you're not in martial arts, get in martial arts. If you're not doing it every day, do it every day. Hey, Matt, I could see you could shed a couple here.
I definitely can. No, I need to get my ass back on the mat and be more regular. And it's honestly, it's addictive. It's magical. It's like one of these things where like I'll go through periods where I'm busy and I'm ignoring it, and then I'm like, I need it. I jones for it, right? And even though I know I'm going to go back in and I'm going to get my ass kicked by a bunch of little nerd assassins at my jiu-jitsu school, but it's honestly like, I love it because it's an ego check, right? And you go in there and I've got some kids in my school that are like in their late teens and early 20s who are just amazing, and even though I'm 100 pounds heavier than them, I'm having a hard time with them, and they're getting me in certain things. Yeah. And now because they grow up and aren't limited to what they're being taught at the dojo, like they're learning stuff on social media and different platforms, they come in with this, kind of wider skill set, and they're showing me stuff. So yeah. I'm like, wait a second, show me that. How'd you do that? So
what's interesting about it is the one thing that I tell people all the time: you're never your best.
Yeah,
you're never the best. You're never your best. Never. And people say, well, that's negative. Well, no, it's not. That's exciting. You might have your day. You might have your day that day it just came together and you are just submitting everyone. You're tagging everybody. You're finding the holes. You're on it, but you're never your best. For me, I take that as fuel to strive to be better.
Sure.
Because then what I'm doing is I'm pushing myself to be better every second. Because I know that I'm never the best, so I want to be the best. So wanting to be that pushes you to take that second level. For me right now, I work out twice a day, 6 a.m., 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Every day. When I feel like I need a day off, I take a day off. That's just it.
Right.
6 a.m. This morning, I was up 6 a.m. I did my workout and I trained hard. And guess what? 6 p.m., I'm going to do the same.
Right.
You know, and that's my life. That's what I do. I don't feel right if I don't.
Yeah.
And now it's the whole cold shower therapy.
Right.
I don't have my cold plunge yet, but the trending thing. But you know what? Got to say that cold shower, I do it afterwards. I should do it before.
Yeah.
Because there's both science to both.
Yeah.
But man, I don't know. It just makes me feel alive.
I really love this trend because, you know, cold plunge was never something we did in martial arts, but we did do sauna. And I just love that people are taking their health into their own hands, you know, because I think, it's like the rabbit's hole. That just unlocks one little thing. And then you start looking at, you know, diet and exercise and all the other things that will make you feel fantastic and make you allow you to live a fuller life and a longer life. And the answers aren't in pharmaceutical companies. They're in, you know, you're inside of you, you know, and how you control your diet,
you know what?
your habits.
You know what? I have so many people at the pit. Were talking to me about Ozempic. And I'm just like, why?
Yeah.
Just eat right.
Yeah.
Eat right. Train hard. You know, recently, hey, I love whiskey. I've got a tequila and whiskey bar here. I love whiskey.
Yeah.
But I stopped drinking whiskey during the week.
Yeah.
I limit myself to 1 glass on Saturday.
Right.
And I found like sometimes I don't enjoy it as much.
Sure.
But you know what I did? I looked at the health benefits. I looked at what it was doing to me. I love a good whiskey.
Sure.
Now I just want to have that small glass and enjoy that special glass that I'm having, a really good whiskey. I love it. A really good tequila. You know, I want to enjoy it.
Sure.
You know, because I'm looking at what I have to do on the drive and what I want to accomplish. Hey, drinking every night's not going to get you there.
No.
Eating like crap is not going to get you there. Not exercising is not going to get you there.
Yep.
You want to succeed in life? It starts with you.
Yeah. You got to, I think that the big thing, and again, back to martial arts, is there isn't a cheat code, right? You got to do the work, right? Everybody wants the pill, or they want hey, this is the hack, or this is the whatever. And it's like, no.
Yeah, there's no discount code for for martial arts.
No.
Hey, I get a 20% off.
No.
And you know.
No, I remember being a kid, and the style that I started with was Okinawan style of karate called Richie. And we were born in Kalamazoo. Me and my brother were born in Kalamazoo, Michigan. We started martial arts. I was 6. He was 4. And, you know, the guy running the school, James Thompson, right, was a badass. And he didn't care that we were 6 and 4 years old. We were doing knuckle push-ups outside in the snow with everybody else. There was only one class. There wasn't an adult class and a kids class. There was, you know, class at this time and a class at this time. So it was a very hard Japanese style. And when we moved to Southern California, I remember going to all these different schools and going like, this is too easy. This is too easy. I went through like 7 different martial arts schools until I found one that I felt was comparable, just because how hard we had been pushed as kids, and, you know, and transferring, you know, all that knowledge out here. But to your point, there is no cheat code with life. There is no cheat code with martial arts. No cheat code with business. You get out what you put into it, and ultimately you're responsible for your success or failure.
You know what? 100%. You know, in the motorcycle business, fun time growing up. Man, in the 80s, God, what a great time. It was awesome. And the thing that we saw was this. I would see a lot of businesses that were motorcycle shops had a lot of success. The owners were off playing. then the business would go down.
Yep.
Then they would come back and, oh my God, it's in shambles, and they would have to build it back up.
Right.
Hey, sometimes my team would wish I was out a little bit more. They want a break because it's a hard task to keep up with me.
Yeah.
When you're going up against somebody that is, you're working with somebody that's so driven and wants it so bad and is willing to do whatever, it's a hard thing to keep up with.
Well, it's funny. I remember listening to one of the Rogan podcasts, and he was talking about how his mindset changed and how he, became who he was. And one of the things he said, and I've got this printed on my wall of my little workout room: never be sorry for being a savage. Never apologize for being a savage. It's everybody else who should be apologizing, right?
Yep.
And I think that that's, indicative of who you are. It's like you're this very driven person for lots of different reasons. But you can tell, like, your leadership style is like, you're not sitting back going, hey, I'll send everybody to this event, blah, blah. You're there. That's one of the things I love about the business culture of off-road racing is like, the mint, right? The first person I see at your booth is you standing right there in the middle, talking to people, greeting people, answering questions, referring people to, some of the more technical guys that you have on your team. It's like you're front and center, and you're smiling. You're enjoying this. It's not like you're sitting there going, oh man, I got to go to another Mint 400. You know what I mean? It's like, that's the one thing I explain to people about my work ethic is they go, man, aren't you tired? Don't you want to take a vacation? Yeah, I'm tired, but I love this, and I would be doing this if I wasn't in the business. I would be a fan.
Well, what's funny about it? You talk about the Mint, and we all love the Mint because, where can you get that type of venue, how it all comes together? Okay, that's not typical of off-road racing. You and I both know that. Right. Okay, that is special. Okay, so one thing is I love my role when I go to that is, you're right, I stand right in the middle. Because you know what? Guess what? I have all of these people that I get to engage with, that I get to touch, I get to hear, I get to direct, I get to send out to my team, put them in the right places, do all this. You know how much I learned from that event? Okay, sometimes my team wish I wouldn't go.
Sure.
Because when I come back, I'm doing a full download on, this is what I learned. This is what we need to do. This is how I want this setup done. I want this. I want that. And I'm just like, I'm just dying because I'm like seeing all these things that, okay, customers are asking for this. This is what we need to improve. This is what and I love that.
Yeah.
I love it because when do you have a chance to engage with your customer?
Yeah.
Okay, right now I have a big, Rugged has turned into a big company. I have multiple layers. I'm really trying to not work in the business. I'm trying to work on the business.
Sure.
Not engaging as much with the general employees, but engaging more with my managers, elevating my managers, and do that so I can work on it. Because as you grow and you want to hit your goals and levels and other areas that we're going after, we have to do those things.
Right.
But I love when I'm ground level and I still have a chance to go out to an event and ground level work with people. Man, I love that.
Yeah.
I just love it. And not every event can you go do that.
Yeah. No, the Mint's unique for sure. One of the things that's unique about this area that you're in, of course, is Pismo Beach.
Yeah.
Right? And like, what a, I don't even know how to describe it other than like a gem of off-road culture, really of California culture, right? Of like, when you talk about the quintessential, California image, it's the beach, it's a Baja Bug or a Jeep with the boards loaded, driving on the beach, not on pavement, but on the beach.
On the beach.
That is the image that has, brought millions of people to hundreds of millions of people to Southern California, either to live or on vacation, and it's like for us at the age we're at, it was the images that like the Beach Boys and that era of music and movies created, it was like, oh, I want to go to the party with all the hot blondes and the big
Yeah.
bonfire, and we surf all day, and like that's the magic
Yep.
life, right?
Yep.
So it's interesting too that the people who are fighting to keep Pismo open are off-roaders, and you've had a big hand in
Sure.
in that fight. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, you know what? Pismo Beach, it's a magical place. You can ride on the beach, play in the dunes. There's been a lot of fight to close it down. Jim Sudi with Friends of Oceano Dunes. If anybody can, please go on and donate something. $1, $5, anything you can. We do a lot of fundraising for him. A lot of push because keep this state park open, because people don't know this is the largest visited state park.
Oh, is it?
It's the largest visited state park. More people come here than any other state park. This funds all the other state parks.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. You know, it's if you look at total number of people that come to Pismo Beach, it's more than Glamis.
Wow.
Okay, Glamis is giant,
Yeah.
but it's narrow
Yeah.
because during the summer it's too hot.
Yep.
Here, Pismo Beach, we're between 68 and 74 degrees all year long.
Yeah,
Yeah, some days it's cold.
Yeah. I literally drove down there just to look at
Yeah.
it today.
And more people come here. The venue here is closing this down would be just devastating for this area.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing is this, so we want to keep it open. I'll never forget the first day I came up here. I took my wife up here. I was in the middle of building a home in Glendora, and before we decided to move up here. Drove up here, drove down the beach, went down to the sand dunes. I went there as a kid, but I hadn't been back in years. Went to the hotel that night, and I looked at my wife. I said, this is where I want to live.
Yeah.
She never saw the house finished. I had finished it, sold it. That haunted me forever, and we moved up here. When I found the house that I'm in today, I'll never forget. We drove over. We were looking at homes. We drove up in the driveway, went inside the house. Yeah, it's okay. I went out on the balcony, and I could see the sand dunes, and I could view the sand dunes.
Nice.
I told my wife, and I looked at the realtor, said, okay, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Didn't know how I was going to pay for it. But I had a little bit of money that I sold my home in Glendora, and I went through and said, I'll take it. Really? Yeah. 30-day escrow, I'll take it. And I'm like, how am I going to pay for this? But I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah.
I figured it out. I bought that house. We never looked back.
Attention Off-Road Nation. The Unlimited Off-Road Racing Championship comes roaring through Parker, Vegas, and Barstow in 2024. It's three of the most prestigious and competitive off-road races in the sport. It all starts with the return of the Parker 400 in beautiful Arizona, January 10th through the 14th. Then it's the biggest, baddest, most grueling off-road race on the planet. The BF Goodrich Tires Mint 400 comes roaring back into Sin City, Las Vegas, March 6th through the 10th. And finally, the climactic conclusion of the Unlimited Off-Road Racing Championship, the California 300, returns to Barstow, October 2nd through the 6th. Visit unlimitedoffroadracing.com for complete details. The 2024 Unlimited Off-Road Racing Championship is here.
In
That's
fact,
cool.
when we were moving up here, I told my wife, okay, I need to start a business. Help my parents sell the other business, walked away with nothing, and I got to figure it out. What are we going to call it?
Yeah.
And she said, after a little while, she said, well, why don't we call it Rugged? Okay. Sounds good. So I owe that to my wife. My wife, 100%. I owe a lot to her. She's been behind me completely. Raised Jaden, took care of the house, did everything. Let me go with my craziness of this business, that not knowing if we're going to succeed or fail. But I got to say that she just had the trust in me. She knew the drive and determination I had, that she knew nothing's going to stop me.
You know, what's interesting about this business, though, is like there wasn't a blueprint for what you've created, right? Like there's a couple other competitors, and they're their size, right? But like what I love about what you've achieved is like, you know, the potential seemingly was pretty narrow, right? It was pretty small. It was a small user group, right? Like you didn't know at the time that Jeeps were going to explode, that UTVs were going to explode, that overlanding was going to explode, that racing was going to continue to grow at the level that it's grown, right? Nobody knew at that time. But there's other products that people were like, oh, well, I make shocks, and those shocks go on regular street cars or whatever.
Sure.
So really they're selling to a mainstream audience. You weren't doing that. And like, to look at the scale that it's grown now and that it continues to grow, it's pretty incredible. You got to feel pretty good about that.
You know what? It's pretty amazing that I didn't know what kind of business. I didn't know how big a business this would be when I started.
Sure.
I had no idea because I was day to day.
Right.
I was just, making a few bucks everywhere I possibly could. And I had everything against me. I had everybody, others in the industry that I had helped for years, push me out.
Sure.
Not help me, try to shut me down. Man, it was crazy. I have competitors today that did everything they could to drive me out of business.
Right.
I mean, just the horrible things that were said to the manufacturers and got people not to sell anything to me.
Right.
It was crazy. It was absolutely insane. People have no idea the ethics that others played against me. They want to talk about my ethics. My ethics are just work freaking hard.
Yep.
I don't deceive. I don't cheat. I do the right thing. I go for it. And people want to say I'm this, horrible ethical person. Well, that's just their marketing ploy.
But that's also indicative. I get the same thing, right? I get these fantasy stories where people regurgitate stuff, and I'm like, hey, why don't you come to my house? Because I'm not that not that wealthy, right? Like, look at the truck I'm driving or whatever. So I think people create these characters in their head, and then people, parrot them, and I also think that people are jealous of success.
Sure.
That's clear, right? Is like you hear it all the time, with other successful entrepreneurs. It's like, I mean, how many people shit talk Elon Musk on a daily?
Oh, man.
You know what I mean?
Gosh.
And I'm like, nobody's perfect, but the guy's done some pretty remarkable things and continues to do remarkable things when he's in a financial position where he could be like, guys, I'm good, and he didn't do that.
You know what? You know what's interesting about people that I've learned over time? I want to see success. I want you to be successful. I want to see others be successful. I want all of my employees to have success. Hey, if Rugged is a stepping stone for you to have great success in something else, great. It's okay. Go. You want to leave, you want to go because you're going to better yourself. I want to see success with everyone. I want to see every business succeed and do well and be strong, be happy. And I love that. When I can tell somebody, when I can consult and do something that makes a profound difference and they have success in whatever they're doing, I love that. But there's a big difference with people. There's a lot of people that don't want that success. Okay? Of course, they want to see them succeed, but they don't want you to succeed. They don't want others to succeed.
Right.
Okay? They want to fight for it. I want everybody to succeed. Okay? But I don't have to shit talk you. I don't have to badmouth you. I don't have to do that because that just doesn't do anybody.
What?
And it's like I love it when others succeed. It's okay.
100%. I agree. But I think that that's also indicative of you having to overcome things in your business and in martial arts. Like, that's one of the things that martial arts does, is it wipes away your fear, because you have to face your fears, right? Like, most people go through their life, they've never gotten a physical altercation, right? And the first time you do it, you're like, oh man, this is scary, right? And then you do it and you're like, yeah, I got my ass kicked, but I didn't die.
Yeah.
So it gives you context. And business is the same way, of like, whether it's whatever the challenges that you're facing, like, you only have two choices. Either you don't overcome it and you're out of business, or you do overcome it and you're still in business. And if you're smart, then you learn from those challenges and those mistakes, right?
Yep.
And you don't continue to repeat them, right? Just like in life. Martial arts is the same way. It's like, man, if I go walking in there with my hands down and get clocked again, that's just me being stupid. I haven't learned to hold my, to guard my head. So it's funny because I think that there's a lot of correlation, and you see the more badass somebody is in martial arts, the more relaxed they are, the more the less they carry themselves in any sort of fear. They're like walking around like when you meet. I remember meeting Anderson Silva for the first time, and I was like, I thought there was something wrong with him because he was in like this kid-like state where he was more interested in video games than talking about martial arts, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I think there's something wrong with this guy. But he honestly had elevated to the point where he's like, I know what I can do.
Yeah.
I don't have to be afraid of anything.
Yeah.
Right. And he had begun to apply that to the rest of his life of like, all right,
Yeah.
if I can be the best, pound for pound fighter in the world, let's try some business and see what I can do there. So
Well, I look at this, how calm I am today.
yeah.
Was I always that way? No.
Yeah.
Did I have a bad temper? Yes.
Yeah.
And I can't believe how calm I am today.
Well, you were also doing belt testing last night,
Yeah.
right? So that would calm me down
Well,
too.
and what's funny about how martial arts applies to business in so many ways. Like for me, going to being taught all these years, being taught to now teaching and seeing these students, seeing the ones that I'm affecting now become better and better and better. I've got a kid, Gunner, who works for us part-time. He's graduating high school right now. This kid's amazing martial artist. He wants to be a fighter. So John and I have talked about, and I'm going to help support him to become a fighter. Work here, train hard, so he can work at Rugged. He's going to be training at the pit, and he wants to see if he can make something out of himself. He's got the look. He's got the skill. He's got the charisma. He's got the package.
Nice.
And I'm just like, what's amazing to me is, so I was taught for a long time. Now I'm teaching. But then I see kids like him, like I go up against him in sparring. And guess what? He's teaching me.
Sure.
So now I go from student to teacher to student again because I'm learning again. It's what a cycle. It's just amazing. And I love that in business because it's the same thing of now I'm teaching others in business certain things, but then all of a sudden they're teaching me again. So people are having success and they're teaching me, and it's amazing on how the parallels,
Sure.
Of martial arts and business and life. And
but obviously, you're busy. You're not sitting back on the beach, sipping Mai Tais anytime. You're busy. Your life is full. Why did you decide to take on teaching? Like you're not making money doing that, right? That's what people need to understand. Is, you just basically went, hey, I don't really have any time for anything, but yet I'm going to carve out these
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and now Saturdays.
Yeah.
Yeah, John, he doesn't pay me anything for it.
Yeah.
And it's not a money thing at all. It's because I love to see success. I love to see growth. I love to see somebody, because you know what? I love to see, what is this person going to do with their life? I can't wait to see 10 years from now where they're at today when they're coming up to saying the things that I tell John every day, that I tell John all the time. The tools that you've taught me have made me a better man, a better husband, a better father, a better businessman. What you have done has affected me so profoundly that you've made me better in every way. And you know what? I know these people that I'm pushing hard, they may get pissed because I'm pushing them hard. I'm hitting them in the head. I'm submitting them. But you know what? I know if they take part of my teaching and apply it to their life, it's going to change them forever.
100%.
And that's the thing that I love about it. And it's not about the money. It's about helping others.
It's a pretty powerful gift that you have chosen to share with people, both in martial arts and in business, right? And again, I think that speaks to who you are, right? Like, there's a lot of guys who make money and you don't know who they are. They're they're coveting it all, whatever. They're coveting the information. They're like, hey, don't tell anybody. Don't give away the secrets. And you're
Yeah.
like an open book,
Yeah.
right? And I love that. I think it's great, and I think it's empowering. I think that's why, you have such a good crew at Rugged. It's like I show up here. I'm early. I'm here at 7:30. So are your guys, right?
Yeah.
And they're smiling. They're like, "Hey, what's going on?" Right? Like,
Yep.
the atmosphere that you've created here. It's funny because Jeremy here is with me, and he's like, "This is what our office should look like." And I'm like, "This is what our office is going to look like. Trust me."
Well, you know what the thing is this, you talk about sharing with others. A lot of people hold the kind of secret recipe. Okay. They say, well, you shouldn't say as much to people. Don't tell people how well you're doing, or don't tell this or that or whatever else. And I don't care.
Sure.
To be honest with you, I don't care what others think. Yeah, it bothers me with the negativity that people say about me, because the ones that are negative are that's just jealousy.
Sure.
The ones that badmouth are that's just pure jealousy. That's all it is. But I don't care. I don't care. I'm tough. I'm strong. Hey, you want to come up and shit talk me? Game on. Let's go.
Yeah.
Come on. Let's have some fun.
Yeah.
Let's have some fun. You want to come up and do some sparring? Hey, man, you want to roll? You want to do some grappling? Let's go, man.
They won't do that.
No, nobody will.
They'll
because that's the part of not just I know in my abilities, but I love competition.
Sure.
I love competition. I love those things. But that's just being confident in what you do and who you are. And that's why I love the fact of, I want to share that recipe with everybody.
Right.
Because you know what? If I'm going to help you financially, if I'm going to give you a tool that's going to have a greater success for yourself or a business that you're doing, great.
Yeah.
What does that hurt me?
Yeah.
Okay. What does it hurt me?
Well, I think
nothing. It doesn't hurt me in any way, because you know what? Guess what? If you have success and Jeremy has success and everybody else around us has success and the entire community is succeeding, what's going to happen?
Society is better.
Okay. Society's better. We're all going to have success. Yeah. Oh, is that a bad thing?
No.
But sometimes people think that Matt, who works for me, always said, well, people say profit's a dirty word. Okay. It's not.
No.
Okay. Owning a business. You know what? I was watching a social media video about our youth today think that, your big corporations, your people should pay for everything.
Yeah.
Because they have money.
Right.
Well, you know what it took to work as hard as what I had to do? I didn't start off with anything.
No.
Okay. I didn't start off with shit. I didn't start off with somebody paying my student loans, give me some money. Shoot, the bank wouldn't even loan me any money.
Yeah.
I couldn't get a credit line. I couldn't get a stinking credit. This story is great. So Wells Fargo, man, I hate that bank. Don't bank with Wells Fargo. Okay, don't. Okay, that Wells Fargo. I went to get, when the credit crunch happened and everybody pulled everything, man, I'm like, what am I going to do? I needed a credit card. They kept lowering my rates on it. And I'm like, what's going on? They kept lowering my amount that I could have on my credit card. I'm like, what's going on? Well, you have a severe delinquency on your credit card. So we're not going to give you a credit line. We're going to close your credit card account. And I'm like, a severe delinquency? Well, yeah, you have a $65 severe delinquency on a bill for Wells Fargo. And I'm like, well, what is this bill? Well, it was an overdraft protection that was on my account when I was 16, my first checking account that my parents had to sign for and have when I was 16 years old,
right,
that hadn't been active in 10, 15 years.
Right.
But they activated it. They put a fee on it. They put a severe delinquency for $65 and ruined my credit.
Yeah.
When I went to go buy a car, I couldn't buy it because I had to resolve this first.
Right.
I'm like, man, you got to be kidding me.
Oh, they're not working for us.
And I'm just like, oh my gosh, just scraping for every penny. And I mean, it was insane.
Yeah.
Just insane, that stuff. So if I can guide somebody along the way, and now that I've become a big company, no, we're not the biggest company, but we're a pretty good sized company now. And that's not a dirty word. That's,
No,
when people go over and say you shouldn't be that.
Dude, screw those people first off.
Yeah.
Like, I absolutely love like success stories like yours, right? Because it's important. It's an important part of not just American culture, but off-road culture, right? Like, there's so many entrepreneurs in this culture who have made a product that didn't exist before, that has gone into, mainstream automotive, either aftermarket or the OEMs. And most of the times that person didn't get financially rewarded or get credit for it. So when I see the entrepreneurs in this market start out of their garage and grow into a big brand, right? I applaud it. I love it. That's what America's about, right? Is starting a company in your garage and growing it into a multi-million-dollar, if not $1 billion company. And when you look at off-road, like, what are we, right? We're automotive, and we're one of the biggest segments of automotive in the world. So it's hilarious to me when people are like, oh, it's this little cottage industry. I'm like, excuse me, just Polaris alone is $2.5 billion, right?
Yeah.
Then you start adding up all the other UTV manufacturers, Jeep, Bronco, all the things that came from off-road racing and off-road culture, and it's massive, hundreds of billions of dollars globally. So, like, when somebody even implies that profit or success is some negative thing, I'm like, you're in the wrong country.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go ahead and, fly to whatever communist country that you think is better than America.
Yeah.
Go for it, right?
Yeah.
And, of course they're not going to do that. They're going to sit here and they're going to bitch about everything. But, in that, one of the things that I like, and you've done it, because you have some pretty cool young people here working for you, is there's that opposite side of the savages, right? Who look at everything and they're like, okay, I'm going to do the work. I'm going to run everybody over. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get that success and to become a successful business person or entrepreneur. And I love that spirit. That is the American spirit, right?
Yeah. It's interesting how, like, off-road, it's so different. Man, I love off-road racing. I love that team, that Eva Star. And her family, they don't have a lot. That family is dedicated to this young girl in her racing and having success. And I know she has things that she deals with, select mutism. And I'll never forget her dad going over and telling me she talks on the radio. She doesn't talk in person, but talks on the radio. And I'm like, oh man, I love this family. And they do everything they can. Dad works so hard to support his family, working on cars, long nights, weekends, and everything to get his kids out to race. And I love helping people like that.
Yep.
I love helping people like that. It's really hard when you have a race team that dad's very successful, very rich. Kid doesn't have to work that hard. He just has to drive fast or whatever else. And they have huge budgets. They don't give two shits about me.
Right.
Okay. They don't care about the companies that are helping them. They don't care anything about that stuff.
Right.
They just care about themselves.
Sure.
Okay. And man, then you have the culture, the flip culture of the entire family that will sacrifice everything to do this.
Right.
Okay. God, man, it's just so inspiring to me. Just so inspired to me.
No, I agree.
Sarah Price.
Yep.
Man, I love that girl.
Dude,
I just
did this podcast with her, and I was trying to emphasize it more. We touched on it, but the idea that she went and raised $500,000 and half of it was hers, right? Where, talk about bad decision making for your future in terms of spending all your savings on going to Dakar. But like, I just love her drive and determination.
I'll never forget her coming to me and talking about Dakar and just the amount of money she put into it, because I want to do this.
Sure.
I'm going to do this. I want to do it. And that drive and determination, damn, that's so badass.
Yeah, it's manifesting reality, right?
And whatever. And you know what? She doesn't know what is the future. What's going to happen? Where's it going to take her? What's it going to do? Maybe it's going to do nothing.
Right.
Okay. But for somebody to willing to roll the dice and go all in,
right,
that drive, that determination, something's going to happen.
Yeah.
And you know what? Whatever happens on the backside, she's going to dig deep for the next chapter.
Yeah. She's a savage. She's a unique one because, just like martial arts, she came up through moto.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like moto is a tough ass sport, and for men. But then to be a woman and come up through it and get any sort of success, it's virtually impossible, right? So for her to go through that experience at a young age and that be like kind of the proving ground for, who she is, we were talking about it. She's like, I got in a UTV and drove a few hundred miles. I'm like, man, this is easy, right? Yeah. So I see a lot of opportunity for her in the future. I'll do whatever I can to support her, and to like all these other young athletes that are coming up. I mean, that's one of the things I'm the most excited about is we've got the first wave of the trophy cart kids with, RJ and Mitchie and, a handful of other people. And, I think I tell this experience quite a bit, but I love telling it. Is like a few years ago, I was in Dakar and Mitchie was coming and finishing a stage, and I'm sitting there with all the heavies from Dakar, who've won it multiple times, the Cyril Duprés and whatnot, and they were all just blown away. They're like, how is this kid so fast? And I'm like, well, because he started racing off-road at 6.
Yeah.
So at 20, right?
He had huge experience.
Right? He's got 14 years of like, and also the other thing that I didn't realize is that, in their off season, they're not off-roading like we are.
Yeah.
Right? They're like, how many times did you get in this car? Well, I got in at the test and I got in at the race. They're not like us where they're like, we're like, oh, what are we doing this weekend? There's no race. Let's go to Ocotillo. Let's go to Baja. Let's go to Glamis. Let's go to Pismo. Let's go out and off road. So it's an interesting dynamic where I see a very big future for American off road racers, not just in America but globally.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I mean, like I say, I have people in this off road industry that continually inspire me.
Yeah.
Not just the businesses of it. I mean, of course, there's businesses that inspire me every day in this, but I look at the Matlocks.
Yep.
We talk about the Eisenhowers. We talk about Blake Wilkie. We talk about, this group of people, they inspire me every day. They have no idea the profound effect that they have on me.
Yeah.
Not just me helping them, if I financially help or product help or whatever else. They inspire me.
Yeah. Well,
but I mean, I look at Blake Wilkie. Look at any one of those people, how hard they're willing to work.
Yeah.
Okay. How hard? Like, I know you're not just going to give it to me. I'm willing to work hard and go for it.
Well, I think that's one thing that's beautiful about off-road culture is like, it is a distiller, right? Because it's not easy. You can't pull up to the racetrack and have everything ready and you just go. It's like, it's hard. You got to put in the work. Your friends have to put in the work. Your family has to put in the work.
Yeah.
So really quickly, you find out who your friends are and what family members are reliable, because the minute you're like, hey, dude, I need you to drive 6 hours round trip to Barstow to drive a trailer for me for a race, you find out very quickly who your friends are, right? And who in your family is also going to back you up.
You know what? I was watching. I can't remember who said this. I've been watching some Instagram, social media people talk about stuff, just inspirational things, and they talked about who's your 3 a.m. friend.
Right.
Who is it?
Yeah.
In off-road racing, you find out quickly.
Yeah.
You find out real quickly. But I was like, interesting.
Yeah.
I've got a close circle.
Yep.
I got a close circle of guys I know, and I know my son's one of them.
Yeah.
I know my son will do whatever it takes. And I've got the Steves. I don't have a lot of friends.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of friends. And because friendship takes time.
Yeah.
It takes time. And I push myself so hard that sometimes that sacrifices those things. But who are your 3 a.m. people?
Yep.
And off-road racing will teach that real quickly.
100%.
And that's what's exciting because you're with your friends. You're with people that really care.
I love, even besides racing, just going and having, these experiences with my friends and family. I mean, we were just out looking at new course, and, the guy who works for me, who's putting together courses for me and with me, is my cousin. So I'm like, I get to spend that time, 10 hours a day in a car with him, both arguing with him, but also like, listen, how cool is this that, whether it's the time I get to spend with my brother, the time I get to spend with my cousin, and now, my niece is doing some work in the business, and, and then even the guys some of my friends and some of the people that work with us, it's that time, we have a really cool old timer that does a lot of stuff with us. He starts our races, John Savino. And, he's like a grandfather, right?
I like John.
Yeah, he's great. And so like, we're just doing, about to do 4 days off road. And I'm like, oh, we need chase support. Let's call John. John, hey, do you have time to do this? And he's like, hell yes. And we had a blast. We laughed our asses off, and, we got all the work done that we needed to get done. But, the time you get to spend basically adventuring with friends and family in off-road, I don't know what else you could do that's that fun and magical.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I really don't. You can't. People, you can go on a vacation, you could go to a hotel, you could go do something.
I can't do that.
I gotta say, you go out, and the Steves and I will go to Mexico. I'll take my group. So every year we do a taco tour. So I'm wearing my taco tour shirt today from last year. And every year, my taco tour, it's between 1,000 and 1,500 miles. I started it in Mexico. Now we brought it to the United States. And in Mexico, it was around the Baja 1000. So I'd take the pre-runners down. We'd pre-run the course, and we would do free support. Help anybody along the way.
Right.
If you needed help, we were there to help you. That's it. Well, the talk to it's my vacation. Okay, because I don't get much time off. I don't get much. I kind of morphed it now into because going in pre-runners, it's hard because I can't have all my friends come because you got to have very capable vehicles and stuff that's not going to break. So I kind of did the United States version. The first one, I went from here to the top of Pikes Peak. My dad had passed away, and it was about me taking him to the top of Pikes Peak.
Nice.
But we had, I think, 8 vehicles that went with us. It was with some of my best friends and people that have become my best friends now went with me. It's about us spending time.
Yeah.
It's about us going on an adventure.
Yep.
And we're on an adventure. We're out. Sometimes we're camping. Sometimes we're hotels. Every year it's a different adventure.
Right.
And a different adventure, a different thing that we're going to go, but we're going to have a great group of people, and we're just going to go have fun.
Right.
And that's what off-roading's about.
Definitely.
Just you go out, when you're sitting around the campfire and you're eating a meal on your paper plate and that you just cooked, and you're just having this amazing meal, this amazing time at the campfire, and you're looking up and you're seeing the stars because it's just beautiful out. And Or you have the flip side. You go to Glamis and it's so windy, it's crazy. You're sitting in the motorhome. Most of the time, you're still having a great time.
Sure. No, absolutely.
You know, so if you haven't done that type of thing and you haven't been involved in off-road, or you're new to this podcast, get out and go.
Yeah.
Get out and adventure. You know, overlanding.
Yeah.
That's open. That's been a whole gateway of people to go to Death Valley.
Yeah. Which I love that through overlanding, what we do normally is becoming this mainstream thing.
Yeah.
Right? Because I love sharing it with people. I'm like, look, being an off-roader is more than just, racing. It's, you start to look at everything differently. You look at the world and you're like, okay, here's all the highways. Here's all the shit everybody else is going to do. They're all going to have the same experience. And then when you go, well, wait a second, that's only covering this small fraction of the world.
Yeah.
Like once you get into that mindset of like, hey, what's over there?
Yeah.
Right? And I'm going to go over there and have this much more unique experience and then share it with your friends. That's what it's all about.
Well, and the funny thing is there's huge different types of off-roading. So
Yep.
you go off-roading, and I've done it all. So you have off-roading that, okay, I'm going to take highly capable vehicles out. I'm going to go to the roughest spots at a big giant whoops, and I'm going to go 60, 70, 80 mile an hour over the top of them.
Right.
And we're going to go do the Mojave Trail, and we're going to see how fast we can do it.
Right.
Okay. Then you have the flip side of the whole van market now. I have a Winnebago Revel 4-wheel drive van. That, it's not going to go fast over stuff.
No, but you're going to get into some interesting places.
But I might go on some dirt roads and go to Death Valley, and we're going to have a group that goes, and we're going to go down some decent dirt roads that have some bumps and do our thing. But guess what? That night, we're going to set up camp. We're going to have the campfire. We're going to cook. We're going to have all of our friends around the campfire. We're going to look at the beautiful stars. We're going to do everything that I did when I had that truck going 60 over those whoops.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to do everything. I'm going to do the same thing.
Yep.
And I'm going to have just as much fun.
Absolutely.
So the fun thing about off-roading is growing so much because we have the diversity.
Yep.
We have the vans. We have the Jeeps. We have the Ford Bronco. Okay, if people think that off-roading is not a big industry, where would the RV industry be without off-roading?
Yeah.
Okay. But if off-roading wasn't big, why is the largest car manufacturers in the world, you have Ford and you have Jeep, focusing on vehicles that you could go do these things?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, most of the time you're going to drive them on the street.
It's funny because I remember in the 70s, and in the beginning of the 80s, like they were marketing motorcycles as freedom machines, right?
Yeah.
It's a freedom machine. And that's what I look at off-road vehicles. I'm like, no, this is the real freedom machine.
Yeah.
Because you're getting off the grid. You're getting to a place where your cell phone might not work, and some place that not everybody's gone to, and it brings people together in a way that is real, right? Yeah. It's not, you're not looking at it on Instagram. It's not on, it's not a social media computer experience. It's like, oh, yeah, we're out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. Look at the stars. Yeah. Look at all the beautiful plant life and the animals and stuff like that. So
what's so interesting is the motorcycle industry. Honda, their most iconic marketing thing ever. You meet the nicest people on a Honda.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
remember that.
Brilliant. Yeah. Okay. Kawasaki, let the good times roll.
Yep.
Okay. The big green thumb.
Yep.
Oh, man. I love Kawasaki. Even today, being a Kawasaki dealer since 1969, I love that. I love Kawasaki.
They're a fantastic brand, and what's funny is their KRX, their UTV. It's one of my favorite UTVs in terms of comfort and drivability and reliability.
Yeah,
like we've taken those things stock. Actually, we put aftermarket tires and wheels on it. Yeah, and we've done 4 laps of the Mint 400. 4 laps of Parker, right? 2 laps of Barstow, and and a bunch of play stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, after all that, you know what the maintenance was like, we need to make sure that the clutch isn't glazed. It's like, well, I hope it's glazed.
Yeah.
We just did a couple thousand miles.
So my I have all of them. Okay.
Yeah.
My KRX, we put wheels and tires on it.
Right.
Okay. I put a communication system in it.
Of course.
I think I bolted in some PRP seats.
Yeah.
Okay. Love PRP, great company. And anyways, that was it.
Right.
Okay. That was it. 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Okay. The maintenance I've done, I think we changed the oil and we washed it. We've washed it. We wash it when we come back.
Yeah.
Oh, the air filter, I think we cleaned.
Yeah,
it.
air filter.
Air filter. That's it.
Yeah.
That is it. And I mean, it's not the fastest thing, but I got to, okay, Kawasaki, and we'll let the cat out of the bag, but wait till you see what's coming.
They've got some horsepower coming.
Okay, they got some stuff that's coming. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
They got some, but you know what? How fun. How fun. This whole industry, just what Polaris did, changed the world of off-road. And now Can-Am and Honda and thank you, Yamaha Rhino.
100%. I mean, like that's another thing I'm excited about, I've been excited about, still excited about is the fact that right now you can go to a UTV dealer, you can buy a Can-Am, a Polaris, a Honda, a Kawasaki. Yamahas don't really work for us in the desert yet. You know, they need a 4-seat version, but those are the primary ones. And you can spend about $5,000 caging them and adding seats, harnesses, and all that stuff, and you're racing with us.
Yeah.
Right? And that is a really, really race-capable machine.
Yeah.
And that same car that you race with, you can go play with it. You don't have to change anything.
Yep.
You know, so fun per dollar, you know, don't take my word for it. Go rent one and take your family out because I guarantee you'll buy one.
Polaris has Polaris Adventure.
Yeah.
Okay. Man, go on a Polaris Adventure. Bar 10 Wrench, Fatco, the Fatco Family Adventure. Fatco has a program and they take you to Bar 10 Ranch. Man, look up Fatco. Look that company up. That is a great adventure company. You rent the vehicle, you go have this incredible adventure. You'll be hooked. And I love those companies.
Yep.
Because you know what? They are building our customer base for the future.
100%.
Because you're going to go out, you're going to experience something that's so amazing.
Well, in the right way too, right? Where they're guiding you and curating the experience, and it's not like, here's a rental car, go figure it out, right? So that I agree with you. I love the adventure programs.
And the thing is this is I have become to appreciate that. Not just as a company, what they're doing, but me actually going on them.
Sure.
Because instead of going fast, now I realize what I didn't see.
Sure.
But
Smelling the roses.
I'm smelling the rose. I'm looking around. I'm seeing all the stuff that, man, I was going so fast before that I blew right by it and didn't realize. And now you're able to slow down. I've slowed down a lot.
Yeah.
Of course, with my vision, I have to.
I think that's a thing too. Like I learned a few years ago where, you know, I've been going to Baja since I was 12 and I know all these places, but I never stopped at the cheese cave in Ojos Negros or the winery in Europan or wherever it was. Now I'm the opposite. Now that's all I want to do. Right. I'm like, here's the pre-run. Here's where we're eating and drinking and stopping. And people are like, well, we don't need to fuel up there. I'm like, it's a winery. We're going to stop. Right. Yeah. So I think too that, you know, that's a big part of, you know, this kind of new evolution of off-road tourism, right? Sure. Of like developing this whole platform to where we are having an economic effect and measuring it and claiming it. And, you know, it's just a whole nother facet of off-road that frankly, I think is going to, you know, help finance state parks and future open lands because we're the ones bringing in the big financial gains.
Yeah. Well, exactly. It was interesting with COVID, you know, shut down everything. Okay. Then everybody said, okay, we're going to social distance and we're going to get out and adventure.
Yeah, which was fantastic.
It was fantastic for us.
Yeah.
It was great. But you know what? That actually got people to get out and adventure.
100%.
And they got to go see things. When you have a stock Jeep and you go to Death Valley and you're cruising down the road, you're seeing the stuff. I haven't been back to Death Valley in a little while. I want to make a Death Valley run because I went to Death Valley as a kid. I went to Spawn Ranch where Manson was. I did all, man, I want to go back and see all those.
Sure.
I want to see all Ballarat.
Yep.
I want to cross the dry lake and go to Ballarat. I want to go do these things. I want to go do Christwick's camp at the top of the waterfall. I want to go back and see all these things that my dad took me to.
Yep.
I want to go back and do all that. But man, I encourage everybody. You have a Jeep. Hey, you have a 4-wheel drive. Go buy a Bronco. Go do something. And just get out.
Yeah, get off-road.
Get off-road. See, when you see the desert in bloom, you're going to see the most remarkable thing you've ever seen. You're going to go to Death Valley and you're going to see Furnace Creek. You're going to go, you're going to see some of the most beautiful landscape in the world.
Yep.
Hey, if you're in California and you haven't done that stuff, you're in Arizona, you haven't done that stuff, you're in Nevada, you haven't done that stuff, get out and go.
Yeah. 100%.
Get out and adventure. And hey, if you need a radio, I'm here for you on the radio.
Of course.
I'm here for you on the radio. I can take care of that. Rugged Radios. That's what we do.
That's right.
But
no, and truthfully, do it because it's going to enhance the experience. Like when you have the ability to talk to other people in your party, you're able to communicate, share the experience. Whereas if you don't have that, it's a different thing altogether.
Yeah. And you know what? It's truly about sharing the experience.
Yep.
You're connected. How do you connect with people? You talk to them.
Yeah.
100%. Okay. You talk to them, whether you're in an off-road car or we're sitting across the table talking, we're connecting, connect with everybody, connect with your friends. That's the entire experience.
Yep.
That's the experience is get out and connect. It's when you're sitting around the campfire, you're connecting.
Right.
So
100%.
Man, it's just not just stare at your phone.
Right. Exactly. Put the phone down, go to some place where the phone doesn't work, right?
Man.
Get back to being human, right?
We all we're all addicted to these phones.
Oh yeah.
But it's interesting. I won't charge my phone next to my bed at night now.
Yeah.
Because they talk about all the frequencies and everything else. I won't do that stuff. But I use my phone for research. But then I'm like, okay, it's time. Put it away.
Yeah.
Don't be on it. Martial arts, I can't be on my phone.
No.
I can't be on my phone. I'm going. It just, you appreciate those times of the days. You appreciate when you get out and you have no cell service and you have a two-way radio and you're talking with your friends and you're seeing some most incredible things.
Yep.
Get out and adventure. Get out and off-road.
Yeah.
Come out and see an off-road race.
Yeah, definitely.
See an off-road race. We were talking about that. Getting more people to an off-road race, not just the racers.
Yeah, bring the family. That's my big thing is this is the best, it's the best bang for buck that you're going to have experience-wise with your family, taking them out, spectating an off-road race.
Yep.
Bring
a tent, bring your vehicle, bring your Jeep, have your friends, invite a few friends.
Yep.
Hey, 3, 4, 5 of you, 5 vehicles. Have 5 vehicles. Hey, do a little circle.
Yep.
There'll be areas. I'm sure you'll have areas that people can do that by the course. Don't be on the course.
Yeah.
Don't be on the course, okay? But the thing is this, come out and experience it. Watch the cars go by. And I know not always are the cars going by every second, but this is the thing. Enjoy the people you're with.
100%.
So not just the race. The race is actually the vehicle of you getting together with your friends.
Yeah, it's the excuse.
So have the race as the excuse to bring your friends out, set up a camp, watch the race, cook some food, have a great time. I guarantee you your weekend will be great.
100%.
And hey, you know what? every race has tech and contingency. You can drive over. You can see people like us and all the other companies that are there representing their brands and helping people and doing all this stuff.
Yep.
Normally, the off-road races aren't so remote that you can't go get something to eat and you can go do something. Then you can go back to your camp. You can have some fun and guarantee you're going to have a great time.
Yeah.
We just got to get people to come out and do it.
Yep.
Because guess what? The more you do that, some of those people that have never done that before might say, hey, man, that racing looks kind of fun.
Yeah.
Hey, I can buy that Polaris. I can buy that Can-Am. I can buy that any one of those vehicles, and I can do some minor bolt-on, some modifications to it, and I could go out and race one of these classes.
Yeah.
Okay? Or you might find a friend that races that you can get in the right seat, and you can co-ride in that car.
Yep.
And you can see that experience. And go out there and experience that. So get out and try it. Let's try something. I challenge people to try something new.
100%.
Get out there and have fun. Not just for the race itself, but bring some friends.
Yeah. Come
Camp.
have the experience. You know what I
Come
mean?
have the experience. Come camp. Come have the experience. Come have some fun.
Yeah.
We'll all have fun together.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, that's a great way to end it. You're pitching me. I appreciate it. That was awesome.
All right. Well, thank you, Matt. It's been a great day. You guys are up here at Rugged Radios, and just love you and what you're doing and everything else. Can't wait for the future and stuff that we talked about.
Absolutely.
This industry is only going to get better.
I appreciate you, man.
All right.
All right.